Hey everybody, playing my favorite song while we wait for people to join, because I'm happy. You standing around? Go ahead and start dancing. Because I'm happy. You know the song always makes you happy. This is on my happiness playlist. We're all going to create a happiness playlist. Anytime we're not feeling good, we're going to play our list. So we will be happy and excited. Hey, I see y'all. Okay. All right. Let's get started. How is everybody doing? I am Dr. Toya Hodges, and I am so honored to have all of you here today, because the one thing that I know is this. Let me fix my camera. My apologies. There we go. The one thing I know is this, is that our time is the most precious commodity that we have. And if we're going to give anybody our time, it needs to be worth it to us. So our intention that we're setting for the next 3 days is, our intention is every time we spend together, it is worth it. It is amazing. We learn something, we're excited, and we walk away happy. That's our intention. So let's get started. First and foremost, my name is Dr. Toya Hodges. I have been in this world for 48 amazing years. I am a mother of 2 sons, a grandmother of 5 amazing babies, and a husband that is absolutely phenomenal. And I have a ton of soul family friends. And all my clients that end up working with me, they become part of my soul family, because we develop these amazing relationships. So I'm honored and blessed to be surrounded by so many amazing people. And now I'd like to introduce all of you to my amazing family, because you're not here by mistake. You're not here by an accident. You're here because we need to be family. So I'm very, very excited about that. But a little bit more about who I am, why I'm doing this. Okay. I have studied my entire life, and I've been on the pursuit of happiness my entire life. And during this pursuit of studying in my education, so I have a bachelor's degree in business, a bachelor's degree in accounting, my MBA. I also have my master's in education, where I focused on curriculum development, in addition to counseling. I started my PhD for counseling, and then I changed it because I realized I wanted to go into something deeper. I wanted to be able to go in and help people the fastest and most effective and safest way to happiness. Because as a therapist, and I love therapists and I love being a therapist, was sometimes I felt like we weren't able to really dig down deep, that there was something always blocking us. Like, yes, a lot of their childhood stuff was there, but there was just something so much deeper. And I wanted to be able to get to those deep levels, because in order for us to have real significant change, we got to go to the root. Hence, where we created the garden. So, during my studying of all of this, I also have over 35 healing modalities, spiritual, holistic, you name it, I probably have it. And so what I do is I incorporate all of those modalities, all the education I have, and then in my specialization, I specialized in trauma, emotions, and behaviors. And the biggest component I've seen is when we use energy and when we shift our perspective, the ability to start getting happy happens so much quicker. And so I'm fortunate enough to be able to see these things. Like, I can pick up one word you say, and I can go 2 to 3 sentences into something you've said, and we've come to the root. And what we want to do is, if that root is something that is no longer serving us, we need to remove that root. And then we need to plant it with something that we do want in the place of that. Sometimes it's just necessarily the root is good, but we need to change and pull off some of the dead things that are on it. So over the next couple of days, that's what we're going to do is we're going to build our garden of life. And this is our path to happiness. So why do I love teaching happiness? It's the best job in the world to be able to know that what I teach and when people walk away, they're happy. Oh my God, that's like the best job in the world, right? Especially from someone that came up growing up that was homeless and surrounded by abuse and had to, become an adult at a much earlier age. I don't think I really ever truly experienced happiness. And to know that I'm able to help people feel that happiness, oh, it's amazing. Now, the other reason why I'm doing this is because recently I have had an influx of clients coming in, and it's the parents are so overwhelmed. And then we have these children that are acting out. And I know COVID had a huge ordeal in this because COVID kind of put us all in timeout. It's like, hey, I'm going to need y'all to sit down and look back at your life and see that that wasn't so good. You know how they always say that the defining moment in your life is when something major happens, unfortunately? Well, COVID was major for the whole world at one time because we realized that quick that life as we know it could stop. And I know death is the same way. Like we always live in that moment, but it's a little different when it wasn't death and it was something else that just set us down, but it set the whole world down. So in that, what happened was people started going back like, well, wait a minute. At any point in time, life can change and life can be different. And I'm not comfortable with that. So I'm going to keep holding on to what I used to know because I think but that's really not working for us anymore because we have a new life. We've seen things differently. We realized there were some things that we didn't know was going on in our own life until COVID happened. So now what is happening is sitting at home, going from working all the time and being able to go wherever you want. Like we are suffering from a lot of PTSD. And so because of that, other issues that have always been there have now graduated all the way to the top, and we don't have anywhere else to push anything down. So over the next few days, what we're going to work on is this family dynamic. So as I was saying, is working with individuals, but then working with families. What I'm seeing is we as parents and as adults, we look at life and say, hey, now that I have children, and I went through what I went through, I'm going to make sure my children never experience that because I don't want them to have, their life has to be better than the way my life was. So we walk in with that intention, right? But guess who we don't tell that intention to? Our children. So when we start doing some of the same things that happen to our children, and 99% of us don't even realize we're creating that because in our mind, we're going with our intention. So our intention is to give you a better life. But our children aren't telling us their intention. They're not saying, hey, mom, you doing that doesn't work for me, or this makes me feel this way. Because why? Because we as adults, we're not taught how to address our emotions, how to talk about our emotions. And so when we don't know how to talk about them and we don't know how to have that open line of communication, then we got a lot of confusion going on. And I realized that 99% of miscommunication comes from people not understanding each person's intention. So with that, first and foremost, as I said from the beginning, and I'll give you my intention is that when anyone is around me, that they feel love, they feel safe, they feel secure, they feel like they can talk to me about anything, and they feel like I was worth the time that they spent being around me. And so That's always my intention, and it's always for the best and highest good. Okay. So what happens is anybody that comes around me, I let them know, hey, before we start talking, here's my intention for how this works. Because if I say things to you, especially as a therapist and as a healer and all the things that I have, um, I want you to know that it's coming from a place of truth and honesty and love. And if I say something that triggers you, it then you let's talk about what's triggered, because typically I triggered something that was old, and you've never resolved that, so it's coming up. But what happens is so often we use that same scenario and we try to make it look different. We think that everybody automatically knows. It's like what I talk about, how we create all these invisible boundaries, and women are very good for invisible boundaries. And yes, I know we are very, very good at invisible boundaries. We set a boundary that don't nobody know about, and then when they cross it, we get mad that they crossed it, and they're sitting there looking at like, but what did I do wrong? They didn't know that you had that boundary because we don't communicate. And we always assume that people know that. They don't. Even though it might be something simple to us, each person has experienced things differently. So we can't assume anybody knows anything unless if we communicate. So a part of all of this is just speaking our truth, owning our truth, and being in situations where it is safe for us to do that. And if it's not safe, we understand how to remove ourselves from that situation. It's so important for the exercises that we do. The instructions are, you do this on an individual basis. Yes, even the children. Yes, if your children are a little younger, when I'm talking about this, I'm trying to use the lowest terms, but if your children have questions, I want them to be able to express that. But when we're looking at building our garden, what the beauty in all this is that if you're an individual, you get to place all these things in rows, and you get to plant the things that make you happy. So that's why it's important not to do this together. Yes, watch the classes together, but for the next 3 days, as you're building and creating your garden, until your garden is complete, don't show it. Okay. And reason being, and don't discuss it, because we need to know what makes you happy, not what makes other people happy about you, not what you do to make other people happy. We don't need any of that. We just need to say, if I am standing in this world all by myself, what would make me happy? Okay. So those are some of the things that we're going to be working on. And then what happens is, if you are a family, if both parents are in the home, or if not, whoever is in the home, what happens is y'all get to sit down and you get to look at the rows and say, oh, hey, well, for you, your number 3, your top 2 priorities don't even show up on my list. Or your top 2 priorities are this, and that's like 5th and 6th for me. And I give you a perfect example. For most males that I've seen, and I've used this exercise a lot, is most males typically say, when it comes to relationships, protection is first. They have to know that they're able to protect themselves and protect everyone around them. Okay, that stems from deep rooted things. What have men always been taught? Men have always been taught, you protect everything. You protect the women, you protect the children, you protect the village, you go out and hunt, you go out and provide. So typically for men, protection and providing are the first 2 things on their list. Other men have different ones. There's nothing wrong. It's what makes you happy, right? For a woman, the first thing that we look for is safety and security. Then we look for love. Then we look for compassion. For a man, that's not even till toward the end. if at all. But what happens is once you realize where people's priorities are, it kind of lets you understand why they operate the way they operate. Okay. So same thing with children, because right now you're assuming you're providing everything you need for your children, but your children don't know how to tell you that. Like if they're acting up, if they're always being disruptive, if they're always creating somewhat of chaos, or they're screaming for your attention, but they don't know how to get it unless if they take it to the 900 degree, because you got so much other stuff going on and you're not understanding that. So the purpose of this is to help us identify where we all stand, why we stand there. And then, like, there's certain things like I want feedback. I want you to hit my inboxes if you're not comfortable putting it out. But understand this is a community of safety. But the biggest thing is what we want to be able to do is stand back and say, okay, if I had felt like I had abandonment issues, or if I felt like I wasn't being heard in my home, and I think I'm putting these things in place so my kids never see that. But what if that wasn't the way that your kids see it? Maybe you could be abandoning them in other ways. Okay. So as I'm going through this, understand I'm going to be using examples. And, like one of an example I would use is like, I use this as a metaphor, but how you keep your house. Okay. So if you keep your house spotless, everything is spotless. Okay. Everybody jokes. It's like, oh, I'm just OCD about my house. Okay. But let's dig down deeper. If you're OCD about your house, then that probably means that you felt like you never had control of anything. Nothing you ever did, you never had any control ever. So now that you're an adult, you're controlling everything. Everything has to be perfect. And you could have even grown up in a house where everything had to be perfect, or it could have been the complete opposite. But at the end of the day, everything has to be perfect and you have to have control over it. But then what happens is you become overwhelmed, you're exhausted, you're frustrated, you're angry, and you're feeling all of this because you don't understand why no one helps you. Like, how hard is it for someone to pick up the Coke can and throw it in the trash can? Or how hard is to put your shoes where the shoes belong? How hard is that? Well, for other people that don't care about that, it's kind of easy. But for us, because we are so busy having to control that, we're missing out on enjoying the things that make us happy. Them shoes not being exactly perfect should not be the cause of your happiness, right? So then let's take it a step further. So now you want to know why people don't help you, why you're overwhelmed, why you get frustrated, is because no matter what they do, it's never good enough. No matter how much they clean, no matter how much they do it just like you want it, it's never good enough, ever. So they just stop. It's either they stop or you're going to redo it anyway. So it's already done, but because it wasn't exactly the way you wanted it, you're going to redo it. So you're creating this situation of being overwhelmed because of that. But then how does that affect people? Well, if it's your children or anybody that's around you, then they're going to sit there and like, well, nothing I do is ever good enough. So then you start messing with a person's worthiness because now they don't feel worthy. They don't feel worthy because they can't do anything to please you at all. Nothing they do makes you happy. And that's all they want to do is make you happy. So then we start creating the unworthiness and the people pleasing. Because now I feel like in order to make people happy, I got to do as much as I possibly can. And I got to do only what they want so they'll be happy. So because you haven't addressed the issue over here of why you never had control of anything. And now you're so obsessed with controlling everything. You could potentially be creating other people in this world by the same thing you want. You don't want. You never wanted people to not feel worthy or that they had control, but yet you're creating the same thing. And most people don't even realize that. And you also create this always sense of urgency, because if there's shoes sitting there and you walk in the house and on the way home, you're driving like, oh, I can't wait to get home and see, relax, do this. And the moment you walk in the door, you start yelling and screaming. There's always a fire. So there's always this sense of urgency. So then that creates anxiety because, oh God, I gotta hurry up. And so when you have children that have anxiety issues, it could stem from that. Now, this is not a beat up on anybody's situation. This is bringing awareness to a situation so it could be addressed. Okay. All right. So that's just a quick scenario. So now let's jump in and doing the inventory of our life, because what I want us to do is, in order for us to plant a garden, we have to survey the land. We need to survey the land. Like, is this good land? Is this not good land? What do we have? Some crops that we can save, or crops that aren't savable? Like, do we have a lot of weeds? Like, where are we at, so we know how to build this garden. Okay. All right. Hold on. I see someone has texted me. Okay. All right. So, are we ready? All right. So, all of this information, I will make sure I incorporate and put into the group. I will put all these questions so you have your homework. Any of these things that you want to share, understand, please share. If there's things that you want to reach out to me about, please hit me in my DM, because I know some things can be private. So if there's things that you want to talk to me about, please do. And if there's like a big consensus of a lot of questions then we may have a day where we just do question and answers. But during this time, I'm trying to respect everybody's time by creating the lives and being active in the chats, so I can answer questions as they are, so I don't keep you on here for too long. Because I know that if you only have 30 minutes to 45 minutes to listen to this, then you don't have an hour to listen to a bunch of questions. And so, to save and honor everybody's time, I will do that. So I just wanted to let you know. And then what would happen is, any questions that are coming through, then I will go live tomorrow and just answer any questions that anyone has. Okay. All right. So, number one, the first thing as we're surveying this land is, right now, what is working in your life? What is working on this land? What do you see? What's working? Okay. Now let's look at what's not working. What is not working? Where is your frustration? Where's your anger? Where's your stress? Where are the things that you feel like could work a little better, that could navigate a little better? Like, what is that? Let's create that. Okay. What makes you happy? Write down the times that you've been extremely happy and what was going on in those moments of happiness. Now, for kids, this is pretty fun to hear some of the things that they come up with, because it's so interesting, because the things we would think would be the funnest, to them, they have such a beautiful innocence. So it's going to be fun for you to be able to hear these things from your children. Like, what makes you happy? When are you the happiest? Like, what does that look like to you? Okay. Because understand, we're trying to see it through their eyes. Okay? All right. What makes you happy? When was the last time you were happy? That's a big one. When was the last time that you were truly happy? If ever. You can have happy moments, but when was the last time in your life that there was a period where you were just happy? And what did that look like? Where was that? Who was around? What did it involve? Okay. Now, as you work on those things, now let's step back and say, okay, now that I see the garden, now I know some things, all these things that are stressed and anxiety and make me depressed and overwhelmed and all the negative things, we're going to pull those up because we're not going to keep them. We don't want to keep that. The things that are working, are they working? Okay, but could they use some tweaking? They need some more fertilizer. Like, what is that? Okay. But then we need to say, okay, now that we got this, now what are we planting? What do we want? What is it that we truly, truly want out of life? Now, when you're creating this, money and time is not part of it. You're creating this when you have every amount of money you could ever imagine available. It's unlimited, and your time is unlimited. Okay? So create this excluding those two things. Now, if you're sick and you want to be healthy, put that down. We're going to have a row of health. Put it down, okay? But really, whatever it is that you truly, truly want, write it down. Now, out of the next thing is, what do you have? We need to know what you have. Like, what do you have within reach? What is it that is tangible right now? What do you have? You know, like if you want to say, okay, I have a house and I have a car. Okay, we have those things. That's good. We have it. We have laughter. We have compassion. We have joy. We have all these amazing skills, bookkeeping, education, like whatever it is. What do you have? What do you have to offer? Okay. Now, what is happening to you? What do you feel like is happening? The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. What is happening to you? And then the next one is, what is stopping your happiness? What's preventing it? Like if you could sit down and say, I really would like to travel more. Well, what's stopping you from traveling? Write those things down. I mean, some of them are absolutely legit reasons as to why you can't travel, or whatever the case may be that is stopping your happiness. What is that? What does that look like? Write it down. Okay. So, a couple other things that are fun, those are all the questions that I want you to answer, is understanding as we're doing this, you're now being able to see it from another person's viewpoint. Now, let me say this. This is the most important and critical rule, is you need to be able to do this with the environment and the understanding that you're going to speak your truth. You're not going to be judged about it, and you don't have to justify it. Okay? And you don't have to feel any negative emotions. You should be able to create this and be vulnerable to what it is that you truly want. That is the intention of this, because what this does in the beauty of how this works, and how it transforms individuals and families is that you then get to see how a person's mind operates. You get to see what their intentions are. And if y'all are single, this needs to be an exercise before you get in a relationship with somebody. Seriously. Because what happens is you create your boundaries based around your happiness. And when you build Fort Knox around your happiness, then that means none of that bad stuff's going to get in there. Because the moment there is something being triggered, everything goes off and you know immediately. So that's the purpose of this, is that you're able to do this in a fun, safe, understanding, nurturing way, to be yourself and to question yourself why you're not being as happy as that you want to be. And as a parent, to know that you can hear and see and listen to what your children's needs are versus what you think they need. And I'm not saying, yes, as parents, we have to make decisions because children, we have to teach them that they can't run out and play in the street. Totally get that. I'm not going against your rules, your values, or any of that. But what I'm saying is if we can create the dialogue where our children, or where our spouse, or where our friends, or where anybody we encounter is able to be their authentic self and share where they're coming from, and you're able to listen and observe and not allow you to jump in the midst of that, your negativity and your assumptions, it makes the life so much better. So let me give you an example. Okay. And I got the permission from my client to share this. But she was talking to me the other day and she's like, yeah, my boyfriend came home. He was coming home. We're trying to sell our home. And I got off work early, so I'm rushing home like, yeah, I get to get home early. I get to cook him dinner because I know he's been working hard because we can't be here. We have to go run a bunch of errands. So instead of us having to stop and get food and eat unhealthy or eat late at night, let me just cook so as soon as he gets home, we can eat and go. Okay. She calls him, hey, babe, just want to let you know I'm cooking dinner, so when you get home, we can eat and then we can go. Then he calls back like, why? Why can't you just make things simple? Why can't we just grab something to eat out? His intention is she's worked all day. She shouldn't have to rush home to cook and clean. All she needs to do is just let me pick her up. We'll grab some food out while we're running errands, and it'll be easier for both of us. Now, do you see how two people had the best intentions to take care of the other one, but they didn't know that that's what they were doing? This is what this exercise does. It removes all of that there. Because then you're able to have the dialogue that understands, like, hey, I got off work early today. And because I got off early, I really don't want to eat out. And I don't want to eat late. So I would rather just cook. And then be like, oh, okay. Well, it's not bothering her. But he's thinking he's doing her a service and she thinks he's doing him a service. And then they ended up arguing for like 2 minutes about it. But there shouldn't have been an argument. There shouldn't have been any discord. So that's what we're trying to do here. And that's why it's so important for you not to share things until the end, because once you're finished and you've listed the 10 things in each of the garden rows that we're going to talk about tomorrow, once you list those 10 things, then guess what? Then, especially as a family, it's really fun when you put the rows and you have each person's row with what they want. And then you get to see it. You get to highlight the things that are the same. And then you stand back and look at this big puzzle that you just created, this big garden, because you are going to be planting the things that make you happy. but we need to know the things that make me happy. Does this evolve? Absolutely. I do this once a quarter. Every 3 months, I'm doing this, the exercises we're going through. I do it because guess what? So much changes in life that we don't even realize it. That okay, yeah. Well, you know what? That I thought that was the seed I wanted, but I really didn't like that. So let's just remove that and put down something else. But we don't know until we know. And that's the beauty of this retreat, is knowing what you don't know. Isn't that exciting? I'm teaching you what it is that can open your eyes. And for everybody, it's different. And that is so beautiful that I get to sit back and witness all this beauty of people finding out what makes them happy and start being happy. So, yeah. So, the other thing I want you guys to do is think of some music that when you hear that song, it just makes you want to get up and dance like no one is watching. And this is especially fun as an individual, especially if you're going to work and it may not be a job that you like, or anywhere you're going. Put on your happiness music, because guess what? You don't care if you get stuck in traffic. By the time you get to work, you're not stressed out. Create this time for you, that when your happiness music comes on, that's what it is. It's your 5 minutes of happiness. If that's what it can be, it's 5 minutes. I have about 10 songs on mine. And every morning I get up and I dance to those 10 songs. Me and my mirror, we have an entire dance party. And I don't care what anybody says, who's looking at me. I don't care. Because in my world and in my dance world at that particular moment, I don't care who's watching, because I'm too busy having fun. So I want y'all to do that. You will see how it shifts your mind. Like, put that music on that when you hear it, it just excites your soul and makes you feel alive again. Okay? Create that list. All right. And then anytime you feel something going on, play that list. Clear that real quick. Now, children, if you are in school and your teacher's teaching, no, you can't be on the phone listening to your happy list. Sorry. There's rules. We're not violating any rules in this. So understand there are rules, but if you're in a place where you can listen to it, listen. Okay. All right. Now, one of my favorite things to teach. So I'm going to slide my chair back. One of my favorite things to teach, and this is an amazing thing about energy. So remember that anything that comes out our mouth gets picked up into energy and it comes back around to us. So energy is a ball of light and it's always coming around. Okay. So anything that comes out, just know that it's coming back. So that's why I don't say a lot of negative things, because our mind, and tomorrow we really dig deep into our mind, like how our mind operates. That's the beauty of taking a course or a retreat with a doctor that studies the mind. I know, fun. But anyway, once you understand how the mind works, then you'll be like, oh, I get it now. But anyway, energy keeps coming around. All right. So anything comes out is going to come back. This is karma. People think, oh, well, they did bad, that's going to come back on them. But the things that we speak in our mind or out our mouth come back around. So if we say, I'm sick, cancel, clear, delete, you just put that around. I'm this, I'm broke financially, I'm this, cancel, clear, delete. You're sending it around. You're telling your mind what it is. Now, one of my I did a podcast yesterday, and when I was explaining that to her, she goes, oh, so it was like at the end of that message, either the angel or the devil's going to be there to pick it up and take it off running. Yeah. So who do you want running for you? Your angels or devils? We want the angels. We want all the good. So as long as we're speaking good, as long as we're speaking positive, anything that comes out our mouth, understand that's what we're manifesting. Okay. That is the biggest thing I can teach anybody. Anything that comes out your mouth is what you're manifesting. People think manifestations are only for good things. Nope, whatever comes out your mouth is a manifestation. So think about that, okay? So now, the ball of light. And the kids can do this. Parents, you can do it for the kids. But I do this every day. And all my clients that they do it, they absolutely love it. And so what it is, we just visualize a ball of light. I normally close my eyes, so I'm going to close my eyes now because it's just natural. And so I visualize the ball saying, my day of happiness. Okay. And in that ball, I do it in the morning. I list everything I want in my ball of light. So I'm just going to use an examples. I put love, joy, peace, focus, concentration, discipline, consistency, compassion, forgiveness, grace, clarity, understanding, decisiveness. Anything I need, I just put it in there. And I just let that energy flow around me. Okay. So, like, if you have a test coming up or you got a big project and you need to focus, put all that in there. Okay. Just fill that ball up with all the good things that you want. Okay. Now, what's happening in your day? What's going on? Okay, my morning drive to work, it's going to be amazing. I'm going to hit all the lights are going to turn green. I'm going to get there easy. I'm speaking into existence how I want my day to be. Okay. And I just keep doing that. Like, you want your abundance. How does that look? Do you see your wallet overflowing with money? Do you see checks coming in the mail? Do you open up and see Stripe? Do you bank account? Like, your abundance, like, what do you want an abundance of? Like, whatever that is, just call it into your circle. Okay. Then on each thing that you got going on today, speak into how you want that to be. Now, at the end, after I do all that of the things that I need, then I bring in my family and friends. Now, the only thing I can really give to my family and friends is unconditional love and blessings. So I send them unconditional love and blessings. Then I put the world. I just see a picture of the whole world in there, and I just send unconditional love and blessings to the world. And then in my ball, I put unconditional love. So everywhere I'm walking, there's unconditional love being spread. And just visualize that. Everywhere you're walking, you're sending love and compassion. And when you do this, you'd be amazed at the things that happen, how people take care of you, how people just come up and say, oh my God, you're just so beautiful. Or, oh my God, I love your energy. Or, I've had people pay for my lunch just because they're like, you just look so happy. Like, you never know what this brings. But if you're surrounding yourself by love, everything is amazing. Okay. So then once I finish that, and blessings is the highest frequency of energy. Blessings is the top. So if you bless everybody, then it grows. Now, part of me, one of the teachers I studied up under was Christy Marie. And this is one of the techniques that I learned from her, only I put my spin onto it as to what I wanted to incorporate that worked for me. So all of you do that for you too. And then once I finish my ball of light, and I'll put all these instructions into the chat, is I say to myself, or say in it to everyone, I bless you with pure love and light. I bless you with purified source energy. Okay. Now, when you get in your car, bless your car. Say those things to your car. When you're riding down the road, see a mailbox, a bird, anything that you see, bless it. Because if you keep blessing everything, then guess what comes back? Them blessings, right? All right. So then what happens is you take the ball and you press it in and you let it fill your heart. And then you bless yourself. I bless myself with pure love and light. I bless myself with purified source energy. Now, the way I do it is I now take a deep breath and I feel the breath come all the way up from the bottom of my spine, and I activate it to calm all the way up. And the reason we do that is your spine has more energy and more nerves than anything. So by us holding or pulling in our breath from the bottom all the way up, it opens that up and activates it, and it lets out all of that good positive energy. and it prevents pain in our backs. Okay? Because we store a lot of that, because that's the hub, that's the central of everything. So anyway, so then as I take that breath, I hold it, and I hold my heart, and I hold it until I can't hold my breath anymore, but I go a few seconds more. And the reason I do that is it's showing my commitment to myself and to the world, that I'm making a commitment that I'm going to surrender to my happiness and to the love and everything I want. And I just do it. And then when I blow out anything that negative that no longer serves me, it's coming out. And I do that every day. And even if there's a situation that comes up unexpected, do the ball of light. You don't have to stand there with the ball of light, but visualize it. Speak it into what you want it, how you want it to navigate. You will be amazed at every meeting. When I go into a meeting with people, I say, here are the things that I want this to be open and fluid, and whatever we're supposed to do together, let that happen. Open that up. And when I go to lunches or I go to meetings, or the things that have been able to happen because of that. Like, there's quite a few people I know that's in this group from a podcast that I did with an amazing lady, and I'm not going to call her out, but she's this amazing lady that created this group to help a lot of individuals, help a lot of moms in this area. And me and her met, and it was just like we've known each other our whole life. We had the most amazing time together, and we realized that our visions were aligned. And her husband even got to come in and sit down, and we got to talk, and we see things of how we can bring things to the table for each other. But I have to know that when I'm going in there, that that's the energy I want to happen. I want openness and safety and security. Those are things that are on my list. And I have to feel that everywhere I go. And if I don't feel that, I'll remove myself. But I'm putting that energy out there that doesn't happen very often. So that's the beauty of this ball, is it gives, for those people that love control, it kind of gives you some of the control, because you're speaking into existence about what you want. And that's life-changing. And for children, it's life-changing, because we know what it was like to go to school. I always say that school is the most traumatic part of my life, was going to school, and especially high school. Like, ugh. But if we can create this scenario in one child, and then my goal is to teach emotional intelligence and do these workshops in schools. That's my big goal, is in churches and schools. And it's just to teach people how to be happy and understand how to plant their garden and be able to love their life. And in that, it's just people being aware, but these children, like, have them do the ball of light of what they see in their life. Like, let them be them. Let them talk about, like, I want this to be happy. I got a test today. I want to ace that test, or I'm trying out for this, and I want to let them create that. Okay. All right. I am so excited to see the feedback that I get, to see how this is making a difference and making a change in your life. And make sure you do the ball of light. I promise you, you're going to thank me later. All right. Sending all you love. I'm sending all you blessings. And I will see all of you tomorrow. And have an amazing evening.